Hello, you don't know who I am, but today I'm bringing you part 2 of the games that kept my attention throughout the year. This edition is for the more current consoles. As you saw in the last episode, that was about all the older generation of things, right? The more real retro, because retro still has where do you cut off retro? Is PS3 now real retro? Is it PS4 retro? Somewhere around there. So we're going as far back for this video, the PS3, and then come on forward. So stay tuned. Over the last year, what kept me the busiest on the PS3 was Dungeon Siege 3. Found it nice and cheap at their local game store. What drew my eye was, the interesting box art, and then it was from Square Enix. So I was like, hey, give it a shot. I love Square games, so let's do it. I do not know Dungeon Siege 3. What am I trying to say here? I don't even know the Dungeon Seed. Yeah, I don't know Dungeons. Oh my God, these two words. I don't know should only say it once. I don't know Dungeon Siege 3. I don't know 2 or 1. So I did not know what to expect when grabbing this. Yet it turns out this Dungeon Siege 3 is a Diablo clone. It was fun. It is fun. I think I'm fairly close to the end. I really need to pick it back up to finish it out. But it's top-down isometric kind of deal, just like a Diablo clone is supposed to be. Plenty of loot all over the place. You can get companions that you, of course, get to equip with different things, the armor and weapons, and then there's plenty of skills that you level up in a budget style of a Diablo clone, but with a little bit of the polish from Square Enix. So if you haven't yet and you do enjoy Diablo stuff, then look up Dungeon Siege 3. Give it a shot. Don't pay too much. For Nintendo, I got around to Super Mario Odyssey. And I gotta say, I was very impressed. This was a delightful, fun game. It really kept me engaged and focused on it from start to finish. So I went through pretty quickly. Yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, very enjoyable. I really liked the I liked the hat mechanic in this one, where you wear these different hats. You get all these, of course, some different powers, and you're able to use different abilities and stuff. A lot of fun. Well done. Just like most Mario games turned out to be pretty darn good. I think the last one that kept me this engaged was probably Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Wii there. Those were so good. Highly recommend. Was very happy and had a blast with Super Mario Odyssey. Let's start off the PS4 with Torment, Tides of Numenera. Wow, this one really got its hooks into me and kept me engaged and enthralled the entire playthrough, start to finish. I barely played anything else at the same time because this was a blast. This brought back what it was supposed to. This is From In Exile, based on the name, Torment. Remember, way back in the day, Planescape Torment? Well, this is a spiritual successor to that. This, Tides of Numenera, this is its own whole new universe, its new rule set, its new character classes, its new abilities, its new spells, and everything. And wow, what an adventure this was. This was so much fun. Of course, you gotta understand this is all heavy text base. There's very little voice acting, and it's all text. You gotta read all kinds of stuff. And of course, when you read about something or you talk to somebody, then you've got 4 or 5 selections to choose from that are your responses, and then those go into, of course, massive conversation trees. This was a lot of fun to play blind, not go in knowing anything about it, and even when I was playing it, not looking anything up. Quickly found out that no matter what you do, the game pretty much always progresses on. If you do something that you think is a mess up, or you picked something wrong, or you didn't complete this quest, it didn't really hamper my playthrough in any way. It either opened up a new route to do something, it seemed like, or it came to that conclusion of being like, oh, whoops, you know, something bad happened. Like, you know, for example, went to help an older lady in one of the villages or towns you first start off on, and she's like, hey, go find my daughter. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I go to find her daughter, and I find her daughter, and we're standing by this big old crevice, and she's all depressed, and we're going through the dialogue tree, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but I didn't think it was that bad as I was trying to convince her to go back to see her mom, and instead she said, you know what, you're right, it is time to let this all go, to that effect, and then she just jumped, and then she was gone. Yeah, that was the end of that quest line. And then when I went back to talk to the mom, I was like, yeah, she's, I couldn't find her, or I don't know what it was, but it was pretty funny. It was great, because even when that outcome happened, you still got your experience, or, you know, and that stuff. It was very, very open for all that. A lot of times, this has a lot of weird things to do with death. So many times when you do die, you don't end up with a game over screen. You just end up back in this weird other little dimension, pocket dimension for a moment before you crawl back out to help, you know, defeat the big bad that is eating the entire world. It's got some turn-based combat that's pretty interesting. The skills and the way that you level things up are interesting. I, of course, built my character completely wrong and baffled by my decisions along the way, that I'm surprised I was able to stumble my way through and complete this. You do pick up many different companions. Like I said, same thing as you can really make them mad for them to leave, or you can make them happy, and then some work together and some don't. This was a great game, a great throwback to the old school of Baldur's Gate 2, and Planescape and everything. So, Torment. If you're into that old stuff like that, and you don't mind reading, and the reading was a lot of fun, the puzzles were great. Puzzles were kind of tough at times, but this was a lot of fun. I'm sure I completely messed up a lot of things, and loved it still, because it allowed you to continue to progress. And I finished, and I went through the end, and at the very end, I thought I was doing things, and then there's an epilogue, of course, and it tells you about your companions, tells you a little bit about what happens to them after the adventure, and yeah, it was very sad and kind of funny, as my companions, I guess I didn't make the right decisions with them, or really help nurture them in certain ways. So it was fun. Yes, Metal Max Xeno Reborn. Beautiful tank game. From, I believe it's in line with the Metal Saga games. The only other Metal Saga game I have is on the PlayStation 2. I guess I picked this up at the wrong time. I should have grabbed it when it was originally released as just Metal Max Xeno. Now this has got the Reborn tag on it. Evidently, when they did this Reborn version of it, they really cropped the game down. But, you know, it's just it's a typical kind of a JRPG, except you get a giant tank. You have a couple other companions that you get to put in tanks as well, or tank-like vehicles. You get a beautiful dog there, and he gets to mount a machine gun on his back, because you spend time inside your tank and outside your tank, and it's fun. You get to upgrade your tank, put on bigger weapons, put on better armor, change things out, you know, all that kind of fun stuff as you look to customize and upgrade, and to just optimize it the best way you see fit, whether you want it to be for airborne attacks, or you want to be for status kind of ailment attacks. I think I'm probably halfway through, I'd say. Another one I'm playing through blind, so I don't spoil anything, and it's just fun to stumble upon things yourself. Enjoying it, and we're looking to get back to it this current year to hopefully finish it out, and I'll let you know. Now here's a game I always saw at GameStop. It was always nice and inexpensive, and it always looked just compelling enough that I picked it up, always looked at it, and then always set it back down and thought, should I get it? I think I should get it, but I don't know if I should get it. And then I didn't get it. And then one time, it was just darn cheap enough that I went ahead and said, yes, now I'm finally going to get it. That is Avon Colony. City Skyline, very light slash very light tower defense slash resource management game where you're going to different planets to colonize, and while you're there, you've got to, build the city, be able to accept new residents coming in, to be able to house them, to be able to have a place for them to work, be able to have, hospitals and police, drones, and harvesting all kinds of stuff and this and that. It's a great little management thing. Graphics are a lot of fun. It's great to building things up. Once you get a good strategy of kind of how to go about it, then you can really hone in and get pretty tight on your builds that you need as you are given goals to reach at each planet. Reach this kind of population, then research this, and then research that, and you get to go out and do other exploring out and about around the area with ships that you can build, so you can find other resources to bring in and gather. There's lots of trading to go on with other places. It gets pretty intense. There's a certain amount of time, a certain amount of years that go by, and then you're up for vote to be the colony governor or president, whatever, again. And so you've got to make sure people are happy enough so that they vote you back in, which was never a problem. But it was, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, very Cities Skylines light, very light, but with a good round, good dash of strategy game inside of it, because of all the resources you need to manage for how you have to make things and keep people happy and healthy, and the other exploring and researching that you need to do. And there's a lot of that to do. You can really, if you try and make a real sprawling big city, you can definitely do that and have it be some crazy stuff going on. But well worth my time. I enjoyed it. I just did the basic campaign that's in it, and that is, it takes you from I think 8 or 10 different worlds, and you've got different things that you, like I said, different things you need to do at each one, and they give you different challenges, of course. And yeah, a lot of fun. Pretty good. Avon Colony. Oh boy, here's the big one. This one took a lot of my time over the year, and it was it well worth it. I'm glad I waited to grab it when after a few patches have happened and a load of DLC was available for purchase at the same time, and that is Phoenix Point. And this is the Behemoth edition that comes with 4 of the DLC packs, which I believe there are 5 altogether. Now, as you know, I am a massive XCOM fan. Huge. Just, yeah. Started off with the original in 94, was it 93? Yeah, just played that way too much. Played the new ones by Firaxis way too much. They're so much fun. They're so good. Well, the original creator of XCOM finally got to make another one. And he's done other stuff too, but if I have to do another big XCOM style with Phoenix Point. And this is what I've been looking for since that original XCOM. This is the experience I've been wanting, and it is intense, and it was crazy. And when I started this sucker up, I went ahead, it said, hey, do you want to play the DLC? And I said, yes, I want to play with all that DLC. On my first playthrough, I want to do it all. Just give it to me, everything, let's go. Wow. This thing kicks your butt. I was able to make it through my first go around, but barely. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I was scared to death the whole time, and I was making bad decisions, and it was intense. But whereas the new XCOM and XCOM 2 and their expansions, where those are a very tight, focused, linear experience from 1 to the end, and you've got a little bit of here that you can do, and there's a couple of missions that pop up here and there to do, but you know you've got to go from just kind of from one to the other. This Phoenix Point is like, no, we're taking the shotgun approach, and it's just this huge lane that you're going to go down, and there's not much rhyme or reason. You've got an entire world to save and to figure out how to do that. I think by the end, they had shown on the in-game clock somewhere that I had 100 or 120 hours, something like that, into this playthrough. That first playthrough where I was able to finish things out, because it got intense. I had probably 10 or a dozen bases across the world that you're trying to manage at the same time as I've got like 5 or 6 elite teams out doing constant missions as the world is actually burning from all this craziness, and the world population just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and the factions are starting to fight against each other towards the end. Things are going completely crazy and off the rails. I'm at a pretty good point where my guys are very powerful and really rough and tough, but then all of a sudden you start getting all these crazy new enemies that are just massive or have huge amount of hit points, and it was awesome. I could do a giant review all about how much fun I had with this, how I loved the action system that it has compared to the way XCOM does their action system. I loved how it had a lot of free aiming in it, rather than basing things on a random number generator with percentile. It helped just make it feel different enough from the newer XCOMs that it is a new experience. And of course, I'm going to still keep playing a lot of XCOM, because that you can always go back to over and over again. Phoenix Point, I'll go back to it at some point, but I need to take a little bit more time to just cool down and relax and get ready for that stress again, because it got intense. So, yeah, highly recommended. Well, we'll roll up to the PS5, and one of the first ones I played there that so glad I got this a year or two ago at Black Friday for next to nothing, and that was Cyberpunk 2077. We all know about the debacle of the original release of it and how it didn't go so well. It was pretty bad, but they've definitely patched things up. And by getting this, when I bought it, it came with the PS5 upgrade for free, which a lot of these PS4 games do, and have that PS5 upgrade for free, which is awesome and is a great way to save a little bit if you can. This is what I was looking forward to. This is a Cyberpunk game that I was very impressed. Had a lot of fun. Will need to go back and actually do some more with it, because by the time I was getting towards the end, I really just wanted to see it through. So I kept really moving things forward. Finally needing to take a moment to stop all the side quests and just like, okay, the story has gotten pretty decent. I'm really invested now. Let's go. And saw the way through to the end, and wow, what a fun game. Great, beautiful looking on the PS5. Top notch. Like I said, I can't wait to go back in to finish up a bunch of the side stuff that I was doing. And then the other thing that was so cool was, if you saw many months ago, I did also pick up from Goodwill the official strategy guide. And so this was a lot of fun to have sitting beside me while I was playing, and just flip through it and be like, oh yeah, what mission am I on? Oh yeah, let's look at that. Or what mission did I just finish? Yeah, let's look at that here. So cool to be able to do that again. It's been a long time since anybody's needed to do that, or we get to do that. With how prevalent now we just do things, look things up on the phone or on the iPad next to you or whatever, really help bring some good nostalgia feeling back to it, and then just really help the experience to be great. I went full on cyber hacky. I was a full on hack, so I really didn't have to hardly fire any weapons except for when I wanted to, it was great just to be able to sit back and do the little scan you need to, and make that person do that, and make that person do this, and override their cybernetics here, and override their cybernetics there, and throw a virus on them, and throw a virus on them, and just watch them fight each other or kill themselves from all the viruses they've got. That was a lot of fun, and it was really cool to be able to do that also to the bosses that you had to run into as well, because you know how sometimes the game forces you to like, nope, it's a boss fight, you can't use any of your cool special abilities, you've got to use a gun or do this free silly little mechanic to make sure that whatever, you know. So it was really cool to be like, no, all I gotta do is just run, keep my distance, and keep doing the cyber hacks to them, and then, you know, eventually defeat them that way. So that was fun. I also thoroughly enjoyed having Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand at my side the whole way, and he was a great wingman for the game, and the interactions that you get to have with him, and the conversations, and his his persona and everything in the game is a blast, and that was so much fun. And the voice acting is over the top, is so good. It was just everything about it. Now that it's all patched up, I'm glad I waited, and then I'm glad I waited again for the PS5 to see it in some real beauty and glory. So you get to see it, you get this full immersive experience that was just, it was a lot of fun. And last but not least was a PlayStation Plus release game a couple months ago, which I had been wanting to buy every time I was in a GameStop or any other store where I could see games, but I just always was hesitant. And that hesitance was, of course, because who knows what it's really going to be like, and do I want to spend this money now or later, or maybe it will be on PlayStation Plus, maybe it will go on sale for super cheap. Anyways, ended up waiting long enough for it to be a PlayStation Plus title, and that is Biomutant. I was not prepared for how much I was going to fall in love with this game. I know other people out there have their other opinions about it, but I cannot get enough of Biomutant. I was so caught up into that. That one really engaged me and kept me hooked. Like I said, these other games, this one kept me hooked from beginning to end. And at some point, again, like with Cyberpunk, I took a moment to stop with all the side quests to just finish out the main stuff, so then I could go back at my own leisurely pace for the side quests. And the side quests were great with how they were coming at you along with the main story progression. Nothing felt too forced on you or anything. Yes, it is a lot of fetch quests, which people don't like, and it's a lot of revisiting areas and stuff in there, but I loved it. And I love that. The exploration, I think, is what drew me in the most, was the exploration that you can do, and the places you find, and the things you see, and how when you get to a new place, then, hey, there's all these new things to do, but it's not too crazy of things to do. They're all easier things to do. Just find certain items, or review certain things, maybe kill a few certain monsters or something. But you know what? Speaking of the monsters, that's the other great thing about this game, is that it's not riddled with enemies and monsters all over the place. They're spread out, so you get plenty of time to see and experience and feel the world, and what a crazy world it is as well. It's a post-apocalyptic, just really cool. You know, humans are gone. Here we've got these biomutants that are up and around everything. The amount of loot that you can find, it's like on the levels of, it seems like it's on the levels of Borderlands style loot. There's just so much out there to find. And then the crafting, that's what also just draws you really into this game, is the intense and the amount of imagination that you can use for when it comes to crafting, as you can put all kinds of things together in certain ways and combinations to create new cool weapons, or great armor if you need it. It's not very difficult of a game, which also makes it a lot of fun. I when I first started playing, I decided to go down the route of, oh, hey, there's a way that you can use guns and you can dual wield pistols and stuff. Sure, that sounds fun. Let's do that. And then as you're leveling up, you get points to put into your stats, and it's like, oh, what am I going to do with some of these stats and things? It's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'm just going to sink everything into crit chance, and at the same time you're sinking stuff into crit chance, then your loot chances go up as well because it's a combo. And it's like, great, if I'm shooting enough bullets with a huge amount of large crit chance, then I'm just going to be laying waste to all kinds of enemies. And that's just what I was doing and having a blast doing it. I've said this about all the games in this video, and this is why these are the ones that have kept my attention over the year. It's so much fun. It's so well done. There's some voice acting. A lot of it is this weird gibberish from the world, but there's a narrator who tells you all about it. Well worth it. Just a lot of fun. Just a great game. I am excited to go back to try and finish out some of the side stuff, so maybe I can go ahead and grab the platinum trophy for it because I was having a good time. Play it. All right, well, thank you for hanging with me for part 2 here as we went over the more recent consoles and which games kept me busy throughout the year. I think I can get this myself now. And as always, game on.